Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to continue that discussion brought to us by Zachary Levi, where he openly says modern day Hollywood does not care about the fans. They're just here producing slop, producing garbage, and telling you, hey, eat up, piggies, right? Give us your money and just consume, don't ask questions, consume the product, and then get excited for the next product, right? And if you haven't figured that out yet, Snow White is the biggest red flag for all the people out there to say, hey, these people do not care about the IP, right? Rachel Zegler here, who is the supposed to be Snow White, right? She openly, in her recent interviews, openly said that she hates the original story, right? She hates the original story. She thinks the prince in the story is nothing more than a creepy stalker, right? And so a lot of people are right, right? They're not wrong to cite her as the reason why this movie is going to fail big, right? You got this story here from Daily Mail. Branding experts warn Rachel Zegler's backlash could ruin Disney's big budget Snow White remake. Okay, so but the thing is that Peter Dinklage, right? A lot of people are leaving him out of this conversation because he is the main reason why you don't have the seven dwarfs, right? Because he openly comes out and says the whole idea of having seven people, seven actors who have dwarfism, that's backwards, right? That is not progressive, and I want, a different take on the entire Snow White film. Okay, so we got to hear from Vanity Fair. Disney has responded to concerns raised by Peter Dinklage regarding the potential representation of dwarfism in Disney's forthcoming live action remake, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In a statement to Deadline, a Disney spokesperson said the following: to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these seven characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period. Okay, so what was Peter Dinklage's whole gripe with this, right? Well, he said himself he wants this to be a very progressive film, right? He is excited, right? That, hey, we casted a Latina actress as Snow White, right? Dinklage said, literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White. But you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Take a step back and look at what you're doing. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but then you're still making that backward story about seven dwarves living in a cave together, right? Okay, what are you guys doing? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough, right? So essentially, what he's upset about is the fact that, in the Snow White fairy tale, which is a fairy tale, the dwarves are mythical creatures, right? They are fairy tale creatures, okay? So to sit here and get upset that in the original story, the dwarves lived in a cave, right? It's like that's what dwarves are, right? Like, excuse me, like it's a fairy tale. These are fantasy characters, right? This is a fantasy setting, right? An old witch with poison apples walking around. Yeah, like get a life, dude, right? Like literally. Okay, so he's on one hand saying you guys are claiming to be so progressive, and yet you guys hire a Latina actress as Snow White, but then you are still just telling the backwards story of seven dwarfs living in a cave, right? What is backwards is, again, this whole entire movie, right? It is not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It is slightly white in the seven diversity hires. Okay, get that crap out of here, dude. Like, he is, he made. The reason why where he is today is because he used the fact that he's a short person and used that to his advantage to get into Hollywood, to play in movies like, or not really movies, franchises like Game of Thrones, right? Okay. And now that he is rich and famous, he is now using his, his power, his influence that he has now to try to essentially knock down the ladder for anybody else within the same, the dwarfism community, right? It's not really a community. There's just people who are born that way, and they're trying to do whatever they can to get into these roles, right? When you look at The Hobbit, okay, you had a bunch of, average actors, right? Average height actors, who was, they use green screen and technical effects to make them all look short and stuff like that, right? They could have done the exact same thing here, right? If they had a problem with hiring actual people with dwarfism, they could have just sat here and said, "Oh, we're gonna hire these people and make them short," right? Instead of having them still be full size people. That's stupid. That's idiotic, right? This is not Snow White. And again, going back to Rachel Ziegler and her hot take on the original story.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Oh God, here we go.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
You're weird.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story.
Huh. Imagine that.
Just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
What? You did what?
One of those things that I think everyone's gonna have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be.
Yeah, that's gonna suck.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful.
So it's all about you, right?
And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
You are like a terrible person.
I'm
Right. And so, again, this is no surprise to anybody. I've talked extensively about this, how the new face of feminism is going back and taking all of these Disney princesses, right? We saw this with Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, right? Penelope ends up in the room full of Disney princesses, and she goes around the room and goes like, oh, well, you know, all the girls are clearly like, oh, I was saved by a man because of all this other crap. And of course, they had the whole feminist theory interjected there, kind of like attacking the fact that all these girls were, you know, saved by the Prince Charming, right? Again, it's modern day Hollywood. It's modern day feminist theory where the heroic man in the story coming to save a woman is sexist. It's sexist. It's an outdated trope. It needs to be getting rid of, right? Women are now strong, independent, and we need to show that, right? We need to dismantle these old stereotype tropes and reimagine it in the very new era progressive lens, all right? And so again, it's just all like, why? Just make new movies. Just make completely new movies. But again, I said this before in many other videos, they need the IP, right? Nobody's going to come and watch, you know, it's a lot more risk to make a completely brand new Disney princess movie and get people to sit down and watch it, right? Then to sit here and say, oh, it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Most people are going to say, oh, hey, I remember that movie when I was a kid, right? I remember watching an animated movie. I'm going to go take my kids, or I'm going to go see this movie myself, right? And like with Zachary Levi said, hey, you're going to see the trailer. You're going to think it's amazing. But then when you actually get to the movies, it's like, oh, this is just hot garbage, right? But guess what? They already got your money. So, you know, good luck trying to get a refund, bud. And so we're going to go into this article now from Daily Mail. Branding experts warn Rachel Ziegler backlash could ruin Disney's big budget Snow White remake and predict executives will having crisis talks in order to win back fans ahead of 2024. Again, in my opinion, there's nothing that they can really do. Okay, there's nothing that they can really do to bring back fans, right? She's constantly trashing the movie. She openly said that she has no love for the original 1937 movie, right? The 22-year-old actress has received plenty of backlash after she admitted that she hated the original 1937 movie and branded the storyline weird while referring to the Prince character as a stalker. She goes on to say, you know, they go on to say the backlash occurred after several videos of Rachel speaking negatively about the original film and various interviews last year resurfaced online where she said of her versions of the character, she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. As well as being labeled a fake feminist, some critics accuse Rachel of gaslighting, and one marketing consultant has warned that Disney will need to be careful how they have portrayed Snow White. They're not going to be able to save this movie. It's dead on arrival. Okay, she has. You know, she's the final nail in the coffin. Peter Dinklage was the first person to essentially, you know, stick the knife in the back of Disney and say, hey, you guys hiring, you guys making this movie in the first place, that's bad because of his, you know, warped mindset. he's saying, hey, remaking this movie in the first place is bad, and hiring a bunch of, seven dwarves, right? That's also terrible. You need to change that all up. So Disney and these executives then listened to him, changed it all up, and now you're starting to see Rachel Zegler coming out and with, main character syndrome in attacking the original film and saying that this is going to be some type of girl boss movie, right? Which a lot of people are tired of seeing, right? Again, look at Star Wars. Rey Skywalker, right? Completely hijacked the Skywalker name, and she's supposed to be a fill-in for feminist theory. You look at Phoebe Waller in Indiana Jones 5. She's supposed to be another girl boss, right? Completely trashing on Indy, and Indy is just a hollow shell of his former self, right? People are tired of these types of movies, right? People want to go back to the traditional way of storytelling, which is what you see with Tom Cruise, right? The action here, right? You see with Keanu Reeves in the John Wick series, right? Okay, people are tired of this new age feminist theory nonsense, this new progressive trend of taking original ideas and warping them to your new modern day consensus, or whatever the hell that means, right? Progressive newspeak is what it is. And then you get these trash movies and nobody likes it. Okay, so we can go on, we can read this article, but really it's a bunch of nonsense, right? These executives are going to try to do whatever they can to hide the fact that this movie's going to be completely terrible. They're going to hide it. They're going to change up the trailers to make it look like it's going to be a good, positive, positive like female love, romance movie, I guess, in some way. It's not going to work. The cat's already out of the bag. Rachel Zegler already came out and said what she wanted to say about the movies. Complete turnoff. Peter Dinklage already, again, was the one who already poured the poison in the well for this movie already. And so it's just all around going to be a terrible movie. And like Zachary Levi said, we need to strike. We need to boycott. We need to stop watching these garbage movies. And hey, there's plenty of other people out there who are trying to make good quality content. We're going to be talking about a YouTuber who recently tried to make a Scooby-Doo Five Nights at Freddy's kind of parody just for a portfolio, and you have actors attacking him because he used AI voices in that short that he created, despite the fact that there's plenty of people on YouTube who are using AI voices of popular cartoon characters and making full-on music videos. We're going to be talking about that in my next video, so stay tuned, and like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you Patriots on the battlefield.